Hi, I'm Sean Martin. I'm your Georgia Department of Education Orchestra Community Moderator, and welcome to our first webinar for the month of May. So we're going to talk this month about end of the year activities and preparing for the end of the year. So we're going to start our first webinar here talking about all the different activities and projects that have worked well in my program. So hopefully you will then share on the discussion post this month your favorite end of the year activities. So let's get started. So our first activity is called New to You Music. So we're getting to that time of year. We usually have to have our concerts pretty early in the spring semester after spring break because we start getting into testing. Whether you're a middle school teacher or a high school teacher, we get into end of course test, milestones, AP testing, and the list goes on and on. Performance finals, blah, 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 blah. So we get really busy at this time of year. So often we have to wrap our concert pretty early. So we kind of have this block of time before exams where students are sort of in and out a lot. And we want to still have fun activities going on and learning moments for the students. So we came up with this idea and we tried it, and it's worked really well for our students. And it's called New to You Music. So our students have access through our program to an online subscription service where they can access a huge library of music that's available to them, and they can play along with it. It has metronome and stuff. There are other processes and activities and online portals out there that you can use that are free, but for our students, they're using this paid service. So we have our students go onto their music portal that they can access, or you can use free services like JW Pepper or IMSLP or Lux Music, but whatever process works for you. But our students get the opportunity to go into their online music library and explore different music and find a new piece of music that they like. And so we started off this process during class. We really sat down and reviewed, how do you use the search criteria? We train the students how you search in this process, how you use the portal, how you search for the composers, how you search the different difficulty levels, how you look at an arranger and know what that is in a piece. Many of our students didn't understand what an arranger was, how you look at the publisher, and how you kind of scale difficulty. And so we went and took the students through that process step by step so they really got comfortable using this online search tool. And then the students, we kind of set them loose in there, and they were able to take time and kind of shop around in the music library portal. And they were able to listen to tons of different music, search around, and find something that they really liked. So, like, what was their favorite piece that they came across? And we showed them different ways they could narrow the search and so on. And then the students had to complete a discussion post on our online class portal about the new piece of music. And they had some guided questions they had to go through, and they had to respond to at least one classmate's post. They had to listen to some other pieces that other people recommended. So most schools at this point have some sort of online class management system, or you can be using Google Classroom or whatever works for your class. But our school county area provides a online discussion portal for our class, and so that's what we used. And then once all the students had completed the assignment, we actually listened to some of the tunes. We picked our favorites as a class, and those are the tunes we sight read. So the sight reading piece worked really well for us because our students are one-to-one this year with technology, and they all have a paid subscription to this music library, so they can all access the sheet music for all of these pieces that they chose. And so everybody could get their device out, pull it up on the stand, and we could all sight read together. And these pieces all had accompaniment with them, which was great because we have really weird instrumentation this year. It's because of digital learning. And so for us, the sight reading part was great. Now, if you're not using a paid service, you may not have as much access to some of this music, but maybe you pick one or two pieces from your library that are new that they liked and they sight read that. So you can try some different things. Maybe something out of IMSLP that's free, and print off one or two things for the kids to read. But definitely, I think sight reading was one of their favorite things we did after we kind of listened to and they found their favorite new pieces. So here are the questions that they had to answer in their discussion post. First, they had to tell what the title was and the composer. And if there was an arranger, they also had to tell that. So like I said before, many of the students didn't even know what an arranger did. So we talked a lot about that, and they were able to kind of get some new knowledge that way too. They also had to tell who the publisher was and what was the year of publication. Again, just getting them familiar with those terms and where you find them on a piece of sheet music. They had to tell what search criteria they used. Did they search for pop music? Did they search for folk music? Did they search string only? Did they search full orchestra? All sorts of different criteria. What was the difficulty level they searched for? Was it a medium, easy? And we actually talked to them about how sometimes publisher difficulty levels don't really match what we think they should be. So that was good for them to look at too. What instrumentation the piece was written for was another one of the questions they had to answer. So was it just for strings? Was it for full orchestra? Was it a flexible instrumentation? Lots of pieces now are coming out with flex instrumentation. So, they had that look and see what's in the piece of music for them. Why did they pick the piece? What did they like about the piece? So what was the overall mood of the piece also was another question. What does the piece sound like? What mood does it put you in, or what mood does it evoke? So thinking a little bit about the tone qualities and colors of the piece. What made you think it was a great piece of music? So what did they hear in the piece that they go, oh, this is a really good quality piece of music? So to have difficult notes and rhythms, was it something new or expose them to a different type of music? Was it just fun to play and listen to? So you had to give somewhat of a thoughtful answer there. And then after they completed their post, they had to listen to some of the pieces from their classmates and comment on the selections, like why they liked that piece that their classmates selected. So they had to find at least one other post that they liked the piece and comment on it. So they had to listen to some of their classmates' choices as well to get full credit for the assignment. Let me move on the way. So there's our rubric that we used for this discussion post assignment. And you can see we based it on the Georgia Standard of Excellence, listen to, analyze, and describe music, right? It's perfect one for responding. This goes right under responding in the national standards. So for their discussion post, the first criteria we graded on was relevance. Did it answer the questions? Did it answer them thoroughly with well-developed thoughts and plans? Second part was it turned in on time? And was the post written well with correct sentence structures, complete sentences, concise and clear? And then the last part was they were graded on is did they make a reply to one of their classmates that had some kind of structure to it, right? Some kind of complete sentence. So again, they had to have a relevant post. They answered all the questions, turn it in on time using correct sentence structure and grammar, so on. And then finally, they had to have a reply to one of their classmates' posts. And so that's the rubric we use to grade their discussion post. So benefits of this assignment. One thing I liked a lot about this assignment is the students got more comfortable locating where you find the composer, the arranger, the publisher, etc. on a piece of music. Whether the music is digital or whether it's a piece of paper, just getting them used to seeing these things and locating them on the music. It's important, I think, kids understand where those pieces of information are. Another favorite part of this assignment for me was I learned some new pieces that I had never heard before, and the students learned some new pieces that they didn't know. So it was really neat because sometimes students move in and they'll know a piece that we've never heard. So we learned some new music from them, and they learned some new music from each other. In addition, to me, one of the vast benefits of this assignment was it built some comfort and independence for the students searching this online music platform. So one of the reasons we purchased this paid subscription this year was so that students had access to a rich and full volume of music at home or at school during the summer, during breaks, during the school year round. We really wanted students to have a wealth of information and access, but many of them weren't taking advantage of that because they just weren't as comfortable with the search engine that was embedded in this program. And so this gave them a lot more familiarity with just how they could narrow the search. A lot of them were able to search, but they didn't really understand how they could break it down and get a little bit more concise search result. So I really liked that they learned to use that search engine better. It also helped our students think a little bit more about how to look for pieces based on difficulty, to how to think about the mood of a piece and instrumentation. A lot of our students have experience with string orchestra music, but some of them, especially our more advanced kids, were interested in the full orchestra music. So that was really neat, or some of the flex ensemble, and some of the kids like solo pieces. So it's good for them to kind of poke around and just look at all the different options out there. And then students also were able to work on their writing skills and developing a good quality discussion post. Now students are really required in many courses at the high school and collegiate level to use discussion posts. So it's a great skill for them to have. And then I didn't write this on here, but I really enjoyed sight reading all this music with our students. Our students had a great time playing through the pieces, hearing new pieces, and just trying out new pieces of music. It gave us really a goal of something to work on. It helped us remember our good sight reading skills that we normally spend a lot of time reviewing, especially before performance evaluation, but really year round. And it just kind of refreshed our skills in that area. So it was really a useful assignment. And it gave us all some new experiences with some new pieces. All right, so our second activity that I'm going to talk about today is our senior showcase / senior song that we do at our school. So like many of you, we get to the end of the year and we have our seniors and we're so sad to see them go, or you have your 8th graders and you're sad to see them go. So we try to do something special for them. So we're like that at our school too. So many of our seniors, especially, they get to be seniors, they've played their instrument for at least 7 years, some longer. And so we let them put together some special programs. And so our students, along with us, we help them. They can put together solos or ensembles to perform. It's not a requirement, purely up to them. Most of the students in our top group will definitely participate, and some of the students in our other groups will as well. But they can choose to do a solo that has orchestral accompaniment, piano accompaniment, any number of things. And so our students will prepare a piece to do on the final concert. Now, we've had students that will just play, traditional, what they normally play, but a lot of our students also play alternative instruments or secondary instrument. We had one really great little violin player. She also was a very accomplished playing Indian violin. So she came in and taught the top orchestra this like riffing on Indian violin music, and then she played the solo and we mic'd her. It was so cool. She wore traditional Indian wear for her performance. We've had students do guitar, piano solos, play traditional Chinese instruments. So it's really, also some different cultural things that they've done. So it really gives them some freedom to do some different expressive stuff there. And then we've done this as part of our final concert. Or if we have a lot of students that want to participate, then we'll actually make the senior showcase a separate concert. It just kind of depends on the year and how many kids want to participate. So some of the traditional repertoire we've done has been the Vivaldi 2 cello or the 4 violin. Bias per Orchestra is great for 2 violins and orchestra. Telemann viola concerto, the Elephant, the list goes on and on. You all know a lot of this repertoire. But it's really great to let students try to put together a solo with orchestra. And our students have always, they like, getting really fancy and doing the big performance. So we've enjoyed having our senior showcase. We also have all the seniors, no matter what orchestra class period they are in, learn a piece of music. We do Bittersweet Symphony. It's a great little piece. It works really well for strings. And we perform it at the final concert. So the last song on our final concert is this piece. So all the other underclassmen, juniors and sophomores and freshmen leave the stage, and only seniors come up and they sit together on the stage, and then we start this piece. And during the course of the piece, the seniors are dismissed to come take a bow, and they leave one at a time or sometimes in a group, and they come up and take their bow, and then they leave the stage. And so this goes on, and the piece loops until every senior has left the stage, and then there's one playing at the end. And then at the end, when that last student is done playing, then all the seniors take their final bow together. It's a big tradition in our program. I actually always made my co-teacher conduct it because I end up crying every time because it's so sad, because I'm so excited for them, but I know I'm going to miss the kids. Always just, it's perfect, Bittersweet Symphony. So our seniors also, instead of wearing their like formal concert attire, they get to dress up fancy. So many of the girls come in their prom dresses or fancy gowns, and the guys get really dressed up spiffy. It's a really big tradition. The seniors feel really special, and it's really like a nice moment that our kids look forward to every year. So I have a video that we can watch of just a little bit of this so you can see what it looks like. All right, and for our last activity for this end of school year stuff, we're going to talk about exit surveys. So, exit surveys are a really great way for you to collect feedback about your students and their experience during the course of the year. So, companies use exit surveys, schools use exit surveys, lots of people use exit surveys. But I think it's a great way for us as teachers to really find out what our students' experience has been in our program. I think it's a great way to help improve retention. So, for example, sometimes things will come out in an exit survey that maybe kids couldn't say to you during the course of the year, they weren't ready to share with you. And maybe that can help be a retention saver. Or maybe that you find out something was going on that you didn't know about and you can make an improvement there. So it gives you that opportunity to kind of assess what the student's viewpoint is. Sometimes as teachers, we see things one way and the students have a very different view. It can really help evaluate your program and the different activities that you do within your program. So, for example, what did students see as the most valuable activities, or what activities would they like to see? I love doing a separate one for seniors to help graduation and college data gathering so that where are my kids going? I think it's really important to have a good database of what your students leave and go on to do, because I think that's important to share with the next group of kids coming up so they kind of know what to look forward to. So this is the 9th through 11th grade survey that I have for our students. I'm going to take it off the survey view. So they start with their grade level and their instrument and what class period they're in. And the first question is, how successful did you feel on your instrument? So it could be not great or excellent. How successful did you think we were as an ensemble this year? So, maybe their group did great and got all superiors at performance evaluation, or maybe their group just was rough. Some years you get ensembles that just don't gel. So, how did you think? What was your favorite piece we played this year? Did we play Agincourt and that just made you feel so excited? Or did we play a Bach Brandenburg concerto and you loved that? Like, what was your favorite thing we played? What's your favorite from orchestra memory from any year? Like, what did you love about orchestra? What's your most special orchestra memory? And I like to keep those, and I like to keep a copy of this because I think those memories are something that we can also draw on to help figure out how we pull in our students. Now, this to me is really great. What events do you consider to be the most valuable? So they can check, what parts of the school year did they think were the most fun or exciting or useful? Parade, our Count Petty Bingo, concerts, our Halloween concert, our national anthem night that we do, solo and ensemble, KSU invitational, our banquet, or there's room for them to write a different thing if there's something I left out. So I like this because they can select as many as they want, but it kind of lets me know, like, hey, what did they enjoy or what did they think was useful? And again, it's kids' view, so you take it with a grain of salt. Clearly, I think LGPE is very useful, so we're going to keep it. So, but it's good to have those viewpoints. Are you continuing orchestra next year? So if they click yes, then it will move them on. If they click no, then it takes them to this extra section that says, why are you not continuing in orchestra next year? Again, knowledge is power, I think. And I think if your kids are dropping, you need to know why. Is it because they're all taking AP Comp Sci or AP communications or AP teaching, whatever they come up with now? And so, or are they not continuing because they didn't have fun? Or, kids can be brutal sometimes, but sometimes we can find out those answers and help us shape our following year. So if they click that they're continuing, then it'll skip that part and move them on to this section. What suggestions do you have to make our orchestra better? Do you have social events you want to do, stuff you want to learn, and then anything else they'd like to share? So these are optional questions, but everything else is required. So to me, this is just a great way to kind of get some feedback from them, find out, how do you think this year went? Like, what did you like? What did you not like? What would you like to keep doing? And then for my seniors, here's a separate survey for seniors. Let me take it out of that view. Okay, so our end of the year senior survey tells their instrument, the class that they were finishing up in, and then how successful they felt on their instrument, how you felt as an ensemble, still important, I think. Favorite piece, same thing. Favorite orchestra memory, which I think is great. Did you attend our school all 4 years? I think this is important because it helps you kind of track, like, hey, were you here the whole time? Is your school more transient? Were you in orchestra all 8 semesters of high school? Again, do you have kids coming in and out? Do you have kids stay? Like, always good to know. What events did you think were the most important? So listed all those events. What would you say to an incoming ninth grader about your orchestra experience at our school? So what would you tell a ninth grader? Like, why should they take orchestra? And maybe a kid didn't have a good experience and they're going to be honest with you, and that's okay. Not every kid's going to love everything, but maybe it will be helpful to you or maybe it won't be. And then what suggestions do you have to make our orchestra better? Any social events, etc.? And then I like this one. What are your future dreams and plans? Like, are you going to college? Where are you going? What kind of job are you starting, etc.? And then if we were to do a future alumni event, what email address could we contact you at? And then anything else you'd like to share. So again, just a way to track. Maybe you want to collect cell phone numbers or maybe you want to collect any other data. But I think it's great to be able to say to kids like, hey, here's all this information that we can get and be useful. And as a teacher, I think it's really powerful to have access to that and know, okay, here's what my students felt about my program this year. Here's where I can make some adjustments. Here's maybe my weaknesses, or, oh, okay, the kids really like this. Like every single kid checked, man, I love our winter concert. Or nobody checked that they liked the parade. Okay, maybe that's not our thing. Or maybe I think it's important anyway and we're going to do it anyway. So again, it's like any survey with humans. They're human beings, so you have to take it, remind yourself that these are people and we're not all going to be thinking the same way. But I think it's a really valuable way to collect some program data, collect graduation and college data, and really think about your program and look at your retention. Retention is a big part of our programs. Without retention, we don't have a program. And so it's just another tool in your toolbox to help you get that experience. So that brings us to the end of our webinar. If you have any questions, please reach out. But even more importantly, I want to hear from you what you're doing. What are your favorite end of the year activities? How are you keeping kids engaged at the end of the year, especially as we're entering all of this testing and kids are in and out of our classes and it's so busy and hectic. So hop on to our discussion post and share your favorite end of the year activities. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you later this month for our second webinar.